Welcome back to The Five. Well, we typically don't like to get your blood pressure up too much here, but this report out by Tom Coburn called Wastebook 2011 dictates more government waste with your tax dollars. Listen to this. This is going to make you furious. $50,000 of your money spent for a cowboy poetry reading. Yes, a cowboy poetry gathering. Yes. $198,000 for a study on tweeting. $606,000 for an online dating study. Bob, I'm sure you sponsored that. $765,000 to subsidize pancakes for yuppies in D.C. and $10 million for a remake of Sesame Street in Pakistan. $10 million. Greg, can you tell me what a cowboy poetry gathering is and why it's $50,000?
Look, I put those on in my apartment and it's free. Here's the thing. I don't think these projects are wasteful at all. I think we do need, I think Oklahoma does need a Coast Guard. I think that's important. But here's the thing. $10 million for a Sesame Street remake in Pakistan when the original looks like it costs $100. And besides, why not Electric Company? A much better show. The thing about, here's one thing to learn about this $764,000 for mobile devices used in college campuses. It's a scam by academic researchers to meet young co-eds. They want to try to ask women out for dates, so they go on campus and say, I'm doing a study.
You know what? Sounds like you have a little bit of experience in that area.
One of the things that amazes me is that the implication, of course, of all this is this is Obama wasting your time. This all comes from Congress. And
yes.
The cowboy poetry reading and the cowboy poetry reading was sponsored by one Orrin Hatch, who happens to be a Republican from Utah.
This report is not, Senator Coburn is not going after Obama. He's actually going after Congress.
He's going after Congress. $6.9 billion.
We were talking about it.
No, $6.9 billion in examples of government waste, both on the right, on the left. Dana, why doesn't one of these parties step up and root this out?
Well, he's trying. Senator Coburn from Oklahoma is trying to shine a light on it. What happens when you have some legislation that's moving, which there's not a lot moving right now, is that because so few bills move, if you want a pet project in there, you get it in at the last minute, so there's not the scrutiny that's deserving of some of these things. I liked the $550,000 for a documentary about how rock music contributed to the collapse of the Soviet Union. This is preposterous.
Well, it actually did, I think. But no, listen, the interesting thing about this is everybody said there were going to be no more earmarks. Remember when the Republicans took over the House and the Democrats in the Senate said no more earmarks? And they said no more earmarks the way it used to be done. They figured out a new way to do it. So there's still earmarks.
Well, we get these reports every single year. John McCain's done one in the past. Now Coburn's done one. And nothing changes.
Remember when President Obama a couple months ago threatened to release the list of all the requests for pet project money?
Yes.
I thought that was quite...
Well, one of the reasons he did that was John Boehner and company said there will be no more earmarks in the House, and there are earmarks in the House.
But this is why you can't have big government. The bigger government you have, the more of this stuff you get. You shrink the government, you get less of this.
Eric, do you have the report handy?
Can I get in here?
Sure, of course. Sorry.
Look, 92 pages, this report, and every single page is something ridiculous on. Second annual Hawaii Chocolate Festival, taxpayer money to support international art exhibition in Venice, Italy for $350,000. Impact HIV, et cetera. It's a weather. Here's the point, though. Here's 92 pages, $6.5 billion. The reason why this crap happens is because we don't have a balanced budget amendment. You get a balanced budget amendment out of Congress, and this stuff has to stop.
Oh, but isn't that what Bob's buddies, the Tea Party, wanted to do, but Democrats blocked it?
The Tea Party, well, let's not get into that because we're having a nice time. It's Christmas season. I don't want to
now you don't want to talk about it.
Just yelling at me 10 minutes ago.
The fact is that this is terrible waste. I agree with you. But, of course, we don't raise this when we give non-compete contracts to Halliburton for $70 billion.
Because that actually works.
Oh, yeah, did it work?
Did
it work?
Providing resources to troops.
I think it was a total rip-off, and they should have, and they were being investigated to this day. They're being investigated.
Eric, you know that you brought up the chocolate festival, which was about, Hawaii. Why are we sending money to an island country that hates us?
Why are we sending money to Iraq that you like so much?
Why do you keep... What is going on? Here's actually an equal opportunity bashing session.
Yeah. Here's another good one. $75,000 to promote awareness about the role that Michigan plays in producing Christmas trees and poinsettias. Thank God we have that, because we have all these poinsettias in front of us that Bob said, by the way, are looking a little wilted. And I said, Bob, they're fake.
Are they really fake, those things?
They are. They don't need water.
I didn't know that.
Those are some
By the way, did you know, and this report may not have covered it, but I'm going to get this right in right now. The Washington Post reports that Barack Obama's favorability rating now is above his negatives, and he's on his way.
That costs $40 billion.
On his way, yeah. Time to tease. Thank you, Dana.
I knew you didn't want to talk about that.
Hey, did you know the Taliban wasn't our enemy? Well, that's according to Vice President